Might be a nice idea to have a web page where people can simply contribute small pieces. Small, but it would be nice maybe as a forum. So maybe we could say, limited to maybe two short texts or whatever per week or something like that. And then we would be able to read more. So, but anyway, you wanted me to tell you a little bit of what I have done. For me, COVID was a wonderful opportunity. Sounds strange, but it was a time when I decided to write haikus or haiku and post them on Facebook. And I have continued doing that ever since. Now, no longer every day, but sometimes, no, yeah, sometimes 2 or 3 days in a row. And I continue taking photos, and I have found photos to be very inspirational normally take photos of nature, and so then I have the wonderful opportunity. I know that most people look at the text that I write only because I have a photo. It is a very normal human reaction. So, because I know exactly when I don't have a photo, no one looks at it. On Facebook, you can clearly see, or Instagram, whatever. I use Facebook. And I can all clearly see when I have a photo and then a text, then people at least click. Whether they read or not, I don't know. Sometimes I get comments, but not too many. So this is a very frustrating and yet also productive experience. It is in general, I would like to say that I was just reflecting upon it. I wrote a poem yesterday, and I went through my whole long list of other texts, and I realized that this is sort of almost tragic. We have, all of us, we have so many texts, and we know that no one is reading them. So it's a little bit sad. So what I then decided to do in a little bit of commercial way, I look for cheap publishers, online publishers. So at the beginning, when I tried to find a publisher who could do something with my text, I found a young Austrian working in Slovenia, and he set up a little publishing house, which then indeed produced several copies, or volumes, I should say. And then we turned also to online versions. So what value those have, I don't know. Then in the last 4 years, I found some publishers in Germany that were willing to publish for fairly little money or for free now. Because they operate in a very deceiving way. They say it doesn't cost you anything, but if you want to get a printed copy, you have to order at least 10, and each one of them at least, whatever, 15 euros or so. So that, it gets pricey very quickly. So I have, at this point, done several volumes, maybe 4 altogether, and all that I care about at this point is that there is an ISBN number. That's the most important. So it's traceable. And the books are available on Amazon.com or DE. And so that's what I have done in the last few years. I've also done 3 volumes with satires. And that's when I paid. I just, not too much, but I paid to have a little book published. So at this point, I kind of have exhausted that because the publisher realized that there were no one buying my books, only maybe one or two people. So even though it was an online version where they didn't have many costs at all, but still they said, okay, enough for now. So we need to see how this develops. Yeah, so but you know, in essence, I have been always involved with Translit, which is the journal of our Society of Contemporary American Poetry German American Literature in German, SCALC. And I'm the current president of our society, and we publish twice a year a very nice little journal. It's called Translit 2. So we have poetry and prose, and that is not online, that is in print. We pay $35 a year as membership. And so we get two volumes, one in spring, one in fall. It has a beautiful cover, and it's really well done by one of our colleagues. We have about, I would say, 110 active members. So financially, this is manageable. Whether it is being read elsewhere, I don't know. I see some of our department has or used to have a subscription, or I get a double, and so I put it out there somewhere, and I notice that no one ever picks them up and reads. So it is kind of a self-serving activity, or at least for our very narrow circle. But we also need to keep in mind that we are in a world now in which people just A, don't read, B, they don't read poetry, and if they read, they go to the online media and maybe share there, as I do on Facebook. They might go to TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I don't know. For me, it is just an enjoy to write. I find it very enjoyable and productive for me just to write something. When I feel happy about a text, whether anyone reads it or not, it really does not matter so much, cannot matter so much, because I live in my own little cell and I don't have many chances to reach out to other people. The young people don't pay attention. I mean, the young people I know. So in this sense, I have been much more productive, or successful, I should say, with writing and publishing my English haiku online. So I know that normally at least 10, sometimes 15 people at least click on like. So what, as I said before, what that really means, I don't know, but that is sort of the status where I find myself. I have never won a major prize. I've never, except once, the Nisa Khan Award. That is, Nisa Khan was sort of the founder of our society. She has passed away since then. But now I'm the president, and so I cannot win anything because I'm not allowed to. That's perfectly all right as well. But my joy is to write, and that's just my hobby and my delight. So, and if anyone says at any point, yeah, this is quite nice, thank you, then I'm really pleased. But I don't depend on that. I write for myself, and sometimes I think if the computer manages, and once I have passed away, and then suddenly somebody might discover my text and say, oh, a great poet. But I think I have first to die before I will be discovered. And the additional difficulty I personally have is that I normally write in German, but I live in an English environment. English language environment. So yes, I teach German. Yes, there are a number of Germans I know of. There's no real good German speaking community. There are lots of Germans in the United States, but they normally don't have interest in anything of that. So I am really in a double bind. I write, sometimes I publish, but I cannot promote my own text. I cannot go to a library in Germany. Only once I did that, or twice. I was in Halle, and a colleague of mine had organized that. We met in a little library, and I read some of my texts, and that was very nice. And once in my hometown, my sister organized that, and I read some satires, and that was very nice. But beyond that, I don't know. Okay, so that's the range of approaches that I pursue. You notice it's limited, but at the same time, I try to go with the time. And well, so that also means that I'm switching increasingly to English, at least with my haiku, which is an odd thing because my normal poems I cannot write in English. Although I have been living in the United States for 40 years, yeah, exactly 40 years by now, and yet my German remains the main language. So, yeah. So maybe you have a question or any comments, but that's sort of let you know. Okay.
I like the idea of a website. I would suggest a blog instead of a website. Why?
Good.
Because most websites are not designed originally. They import a WordPress template.
Yeah.
So why not go straight to WordPress where the template is available and not import it to another site which is more expensive and doesn't help
Yeah.
a lot. WordPress is all right. It's a fine platform. I see the following advantages in this idea. Here in Bistritz, we had a magazine that we published for almost 10 years, 2 issues a year. It was called Connections. And it was publishing international poetry and fiction, uh, translations from other languages, but we don't have translators. Actually, they translated their text into English, and we translated the English text into Romanian to make it available for the Romanian audience. This publishing of the magazine became more and more expensive, and we reached the point some 2 years ago when we ran out of a budget. We didn't have a budget to publish it any longer. So I suggested we move to a blog, and I have created the blog Nösnerland. Nösnerland was the Saxon name of the county in the Middle Ages. It was preserved up to the Second World War when we had a Nösner Gau here in northern Transylvania. It went in parallel with Bistritz or Bistrica in Romanian or Beszterce in Hungarian. This blog has almost 2 years. With my media experience, I have realized that it's most important to publish daily. So I have reached almost 1,200 texts, which I have published on the blog in almost 2 years of existence, from different authors. Romanian and others, it's sort of permanent, and it is easy to share, because the most important problem for whatever goes in print, books, magazines, is distribution. Because very often the distribution costs almost more than the printing of the issue itself.
Oh, no doubt about it. Postage is astronomical.
You have to pay post fees, and you have to know people's address, and then you don't find them at home, and there's a lot of complication. While on the other hand, when I was younger, at every literary meeting in Romania, the authors were carrying huge bags, and because they had their books or magazines or whatever they had published in the bag, and they had to produce them from the bag and read them to the audience. Now we don't have to carry a bag. We have a phone, and that's enough, because Nösnerland, you can find it on the phone as well, and can read it on the phone wherever you are. I have used part of the software to create a so-called blog roll. I mean, all the authors are on a right column, and if you click on the author's name, for instance, one of the authors which you both know is Gino Leineweber. He has, I think, 2 contributions, 2 poems. So you click Gino Leineweber, and you find a list of the 2 poems, which is very practical. You don't have to waste too much time looking for his text. You can find it very easily. You can share it very easily. I share all the text on Facebook, but you can share them on X. I usually share them on X as well. You can share them on Instagram, on Reddit, on whatever platform. There are so many, you can't keep count of them, but there is a possibility to share them. And I think what is very important with a community which is not very large, but that it can be very efficient, like the community brought together by the volume For the Wind Weht, Where the Wind Goes. If each of us would do the same amount of sharing, we have different bubbles on the net. Each of us has friended, as they call it on Facebook, for instance, certain people who see what he or she posts on Facebook. So if each of us does a reasonable amount of sharing, the group would reach a larger audience, because adding the different individual communities, we get to a larger community. And there is one more thing which you can do when sharing. That's something I have learned. It was kind of a golden rule while I was working in the media. They always kept saying, add drama to your pictures. So yeah, you have to sell it. I was living that. I made a living for almost 3 decades with media, and we can add whatever drama we want while sharing, starting with very simple things like you would never imagine what Albrecht Klassen wrote, making the audience curious. Well, they call it clickbait now on the net. But I think it might work. And certainly all of us write for their own satisfaction. That's beyond doubt. None of us makes a living
No.
writing. But I think it is an incentive. I mean, when talking about my text with others, and I appreciate especially critical approaches, I can improve my own writing to my satisfaction, not to make it commercially valuable. Like I don't like it when people just tell me they liked my poem. Well, it's an encouragement, but I prefer to say, I prefer someone to tell me, look, you could have done this better. This is not the best phrase or not the best verse you have chosen, because it gives me the feeling that I can improve my own writing.
Yeah, of course, I totally agree.
Could do something like that if that blog would become functional. That's it so far.
Okay, two questions very quickly. I know from my wife, who is a blogger, and she does that, well, not commercially, it's voluntary based, but same thing. They have to have a blog site. It's sort of a political news blog site. And I know that it can be quite work intensive if you want to do a good job with a blog. You need to have, or sometimes you want to have pictures. You want to hyperlink as much as possible. Of course, hyperlinking means you just simply copy and paste, but that needs to be done. It's a little bit of a learning curve for some people. And thirdly, so there's a cost factor. I don't know the situation in your place, but my wife's case, she's not the manager, but somebody else set that up. And now he pays for the website through advertisement.
I don't have advertising on Nösnerland, but we contribute out of our own money to whatever it comes up. Usually it comes up to around $200 a month, because the software, I mean, the template is cheap. It's $60 a year because the prices are the same. The WordPress is an American enterprise. So you're hosting it. I mean, the US are hosting it. But I have also bought Jetpack. Jetpack is very useful for analyzing who is reading the blog.
Oh, interesting.
Where are they from, and at what time of the day did they read, and so on. I mean, it's a bit of a media research software that's more expensive. And because I want to make the blog more attractive, I went into buying some software to make it look better, which has a lot of facilities. For instance, if I write a text of 2 or 3 lines, I can mark that text and have an artificial intelligence generator that will generate me a corresponding picture to it to make it more attractive, and things like that. But it's not compulsory. I mean, you can run a blog for free as well. It's not that sophisticated. It will be not that efficient, but it can develop pretty well as a free blog as well. It depends on how many people would like to contribute, to what amount, because it's again a matter of budget. So several people sent me some money. I added up, and that's the budget of our blog. And I am careful not to run out of the budget to have the blog stop, because if you don't pay these software and other subscriptions, you get a warning 30 days before. And if you do not comply within 7 or 14 days, then they log you off, so you can't use that software. But because your blog has been running on that software, the whole blog will probably be turned upside down. That's the risk of it.
So can I make a concrete suggestion? This sounds all very interesting, productive, and viable. But I don't think that anyone in our group knows about it. So it might be nice if you could send a link to all of us so we could take a look.
Great.
And then you could make a sort of proposal, what it would entail, because then we would have a concrete example. I really like the idea, and you should also maybe explain or outline the technical details, so how to upload, so that people, I mean, each person would have a blog site under his or her name, and then text. I also agree it needs to be almost daily. There need to be constantly something. So why don't you share that with the membership or whatever, our group? We are very international, and I think that is all very, very nice. And you can also ask then everyone whether anyone might have access to a possible sponsor. You know, there could be somebody who has direct contacts with a publisher. Somebody might know, you know, whatever. There might be possibilities. We are international, and everyone has different conditions. So whether the Kingdom of Dubai would, or the Arabic Emirate would support us, whoever, you know, if they can get at least their logo on the web page or on the blog site, that would be great. Of course,
Definitely,
you know.
definitely.
So,
I have just sent you the link to Nösnarland, so you can
yeah, very good.
see
Okay.
what it's about.
Yeah.
I also have seen people do this. I haven't done it, but I have seen people do this. They have used blogs to make their writing popular. They were publishing bits of it on the net, and then they said, if you want to read the whole story, you have to buy the print copy. The print copy, they found a publisher, and they printed it on public subscription. I mean, the publisher had a diagram, and they said, we need so many people to pre-order the book so that we can go into print. And you will see that it was completed. I mean, that crowdfunding diagram was saying 80%, 90%. And when it reached 100%, then they went into print, and you received 1 or 2 or how many copies you had ordered with the author's signature, which is also something that might be taken into consideration.
Right. Okay. So, but let me tell you, I have to leave. I have something important to do. But, you know, I had half an hour, so I have to leave right now.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I say something briefly here before you go, Albrecht? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I put a link there to the Asahi Shimbun in the chat. You might want to check it out as a place where you can send your English language haiku. That's the largest English language newspaper in Japan, and they've published a number of my haiku, and You just send an email to the guy who runs the column, his email, take a look at click on
Yeah.
that and check it out. The
Yeah.
second thing I wanted to say is about the blog and also the idea of a website in general. I think this blog is beautiful. I'm glad you posted the link. And I think a lot of people will be interested in it. There's a disadvantage to a blog, which is that it's open to the whole universe. And so a lot of people are not going to post their unpublished poems to the blog. On the other hand, we can create a Facebook group that's private for free. There's no effort to it involved to it at all. And then people can join the group and they can post their stuff, they can discuss. I think that's something worth at least considering. The third thing that I wanted to say is just about what our purpose is. We all have different purposes. The purposes you have articulated are actually different from mine. I'm particularly interested in the cost, and in particularly the cost of publishing. 15 euro or $15 is way too high for most people to buy a book of poetry. If we self-publish on Amazon and we publish digitally, the cost is about $1.25 for a digital copy. And that's true throughout the world. So if we publish on Amazon, we can sell it to people in India and Africa, everywhere, for $1.25. And we can include a link that would allow people to download the piece as a PDF for free. So that's what I'm interested in. And because I want my stuff to be read by a lot of people. I'm not interested in the money. And I'm not really interested in having a print book. I want my stuff to be read because my stuff is topical and I'm concerned about the world. And that's the kind of stuff, that's what I write about. Anyway, I think Albrecht, I just wanted to run through these things quickly before you go, and maybe we could talk again or correspond about these things.
You have my email, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, let's do that. I like that. I find it interesting. I copied the link to Asahi Shimbun. Thank you very much. And the rest, we'll see. I totally agree with you. I mean, what's the point of writing if people don't read? It doesn't really matter to me anymore what medium.
Well, I think there is a point. I mean, there are a lot of people who want their stuff to be read by their colleagues, by people they know are sophisticated poets. And they also, for their own self, they write. But I'm interested in writing for people who don't think like me, who are not educated the way I am, who are not interested in the same things. I want other people to read them. And I want, I aspire to have lots. Of course, it's very unlikely that anything I've ever written will be read by a lot of people, but that there's a haiku in that particular issue of the Asahi Shimbun that I sent you. It's not really a haiku. It's just a very short poem. It goes,
oops, did I lose you?
I think, yeah.
Austin.
I know that almost everybody who reads this column saw that, because it's only 3 lines long. And I posted it very widely on Facebook also for the same reason. Anyway, thanks for coming, Albrecht.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
nice to get to know you a little bit better.
We'll get to know each other more.
I think that concludes it. Thank you very much for being here. I'll upload the recording on YouTube and mail you the link. So
Very nice, yeah.
and mail it to everyone so that they can follow what we have been talking here. And maybe we go on exchanging mails or have another meeting sometime. That's all right with me. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.